Uh, so I'm glad you're sitting down because it's a standing up start. Had to be, didn't it? Whew. And you're going to need a little bit of room because we're going to be moving the arms around just like that. So standing with the feet apart, taking one arm up forwards and then rolling it around. So you're getting a nice little bit of rotation in the spine, getting the shoulders to work. It's very good if you want to practice standing up backstroke, I guess. Feeling the shift of weight through the feet. So we don't need to move the arms particularly fast, but you can go whatever speed is comfortable for you. And then we'll go the other way. Which really doesn't seem like it should be so difficult. And then both arms going in the same direction. Oh. And then we'll go backwards in the same direction. So apologies for any COVID arm warriors. And relax down. Whew. And let's just take it into a little bit of twisting. So this is where we're going to start to move the hips a little bit, get some bend in the knees, transferring weight through the feet. So waking the ankles up, the arch of the foot, challenging our balance sensors a little bit. You can let the head travel round if that doesn't make you too dizzy, or you can keep facing a single point, your choice. And then we'll finish off and come back to being steady and bring the feet together a little more. So the toes touch, heels a little bit apart, turn the palms forwards and stand up as tall, as straight and long as we can. I'm not sure if you can hear my phone bumbling away, but that's me forgotten to turn the mobile off. Okay, going to take a little breath from there, then down and pick that block up. I'm just going to ask you to put it between your ankles so the block is clearly off of the mat. And you need to put a little bit of pressure in just to make sure it stays there. And then we'll take the breath more slowly this time and let the hands lift up towards the sky. We'll try and draw the belly in towards the spine a little bit and the ribs down. And exhaling. So rather than letting the chest lift, we're just trying to keep the nipples the same height from the floor all the way through. And then we're going to do exactly the same again, but we're going to see if we can come up onto tiptoes. Stay balanced there with the block between the ankles. Bring the hands up, and that gets even more of a challenge to keep those ribs under control, and the belly drawn in a little. It's a challenge for the feet as well. And we'll bring the hands down, heels to the floor. Take a little breath, take the arms out wide. Going to bring the left arm across, right arm over the top, bending at the elbows. We try and bring the palms together, or at least holding the thumbs. And then on the inhale, we're going to start to lift the elbows towards the sky. Try and keep the shoulders same distance from the floor. And as you extend the spine to the sky, your head will naturally tilt backwards. You can into a little bit of a back bend. Keep the belly drawn in. Bring the hands back down past the face. Release the arms out. Cross them over the opposite way. Palms together. And we take it to the second side. Nice, long, slow breath lifting up. Still got the block, hopefully off of the ground. And releasing the arms out. We'll do that one more to each side. So crossing over. Taking the breath in. And exhaling out. Last side. And inhale up. And release the hands up. We'll take the hands above the head, interlace the fingers, index finger points towards the sky. We keep the ribs in that control position down towards the hips. We take a side bend over to our left. And come back to the center. Taking it to the opposite side. And back to the opposite. And center. Last side. And then we can release the hands down. And we'll just move the block out of the way, standing on the front of the mat, feet about hip distance apart. We can bring the hands into the heart. And take the first stab at a forward fold. So soften the knees, keep the spine flat. Ease the hands down to the floor, ribs and thighs touch, and then we're just stepping back into our down dog. So letting yourself walk your down dog out a little bit. See how that feels. Making sure the knuckles are on the ground. And the hips lift a little higher as they start to get a little length in those hamstrings. And the hips press up and back. Chest strangely gets a little closer to the floor. And then we're going to start to come into a steady position, walking the hands towards the toes. We'll come back into a forward fold. Bring the hands onto the hips and let ourselves lift up. I bring the feet together so they touch. I'll just stand side on so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to come into tree pose. So we're going to take a little breath, shift the weight into my right foot, bring the left heel onto the right ankle and turn the toes out. So why don't you just square your hips to point the same direction as your chest and your bottom foot. And then simply try to have as little weight in your big toe as possible. Allow yourself to close your eyes. Immediately you're going to feel your balance challenged. Your ankles, calves and shins, the muscles around the knees, the thighs will work a lot harder. And we'll open the eyes and slowly take the sole of the foot onto the side of the calf and the shin. Letting the knee roll out to the side. And from here, we'll take the hands out wide into a deliberate Y shape and start to extend the toes of that left foot away and out to the side. So that's fairly easy. Now we're going to try and bring that foot as close to the floor as we can without actually touching. So your body goes from leaning a little to the right to being more upright. Muscles in the legs and the feet have to work even harder, and you start to work into your back muscles as well. So if they're getting a little tight, that's because they're working. This is called kite pose. Nice natural extension from tree pose, but boy, does it make that bottom foot work. And then we'll bring the feet back together, bring the hands down, hand into the heart again. We'll shift weight to the left, press down, lift the heel to the ankle, turn the toes out. Make sure we're happy with our balance, so take a moment and then gently close your eyes. Again, we have as little weight in that big toe as possible. And then we let ourselves open our eyes again. When you're ready, you slide the foot up, shin and the calf, and let the knee out to the side. We'll take the hands wide again, a nice deliberate opening shape. And then when you're ready, slowly lengthen the right leg out, point the toes away, and then bring them as close to the floor as you can. Just get that little hover, little touch, and then keep them within a millimeter of the floor, hopefully. And then we'll bring the feet back in, lower the arms out, give a little shake. Let ourselves walk up to the front of the mat. Bring the hands in towards the heart for another forward fold. So easing down over the thighs and stepping temporarily down dog to come into tabletop. Bring in the knees underneath the hips, and hands underneath the shoulders. We spread the fingers out a little bit. Going to move into cat-cow. So we're just dropping the chest forwards and then lifting the spine up towards the sky. We'll press into the hands, knees, draw the belly in. Try and keep the shoulders gently away from the ears. So it's a loose feeling in the shoulders. And the spine to move around. And we'll come into neutral. We'll just take that into some barrel rolls. So rolling the ribs from side to side, up and down. Nice circular movement. Getting a little bit more movement in the shoulders and the neck and the hips. We'll take it the opposite way for a couple of rounds. And come back into neutral. Now, as you arrive, tuck the toes of your right foot underneath and slide your leg back out. Going to lift that foot away from the ground so you can start to press a little more into the shin. We're going to allow ourselves to draw the knee in towards the chest. Get the knee to get very close to the nose and then lengthen back out Now you want to try and keep the spine long and flat, so you press away from the floor rather than letting yourselves collapse into the ground. Draw the knee in again. We're going to take 5 of these, nice and slow. Straight out with the toes, lengthen them to the back of the mat. Try and keep that shin pressing into the floor the whole time, so your core feels very connected. That's number 3. Now take the leg back for the last time, lengthening out, and then bring the foot to the floor, draw the knee in, and we repeat. So the left leg goes back, lift the foot, point the toes, draw it in. Try and keep your body as well as you can over the center line so we don't roll into the hip. And we'll bring that in towards the chest for the last time. Lengthen the leg out, foot to the floor, move back into plank, take a little breath, and we're going to move into half plank from here. So we'll just push forwards on the tippy toes, ribs and elbows meet, press back into plank, and move into down dog. Take a little breath from there. We'll come forwards one more time, push forwards on the tippy toes, elbows to the ribs, press back into the plank, lift into the down dog, into the plank, and then knees to the floor. We'll spin the feet out to the side and then bring them forwards. We're going to take the block to the back of the mat from the head, bring the knees up high, hands behind, roll gently down into the floor. Take the arms out wide, bring the feet in close to my bottom together, and then take a little spin. So I'm going to roll the legs over to the right, head to the left. And inhale the knees back. And roll out to the opposite side. Inhaling up. So we've got a couple more rounds to go. Try to keep the thighs together today. And on the lift back up, try to avoid pressing through the arms. So it's really the core of your body that's working. We'll take the legs over for the last time. Back up. Going to go to the final side. Coming back into the center. And then you're going to take the left leg to the sky and the right leg to the sky, pointing out. Leave the arms where they were. And slowly lengthen the right leg forwards and down, just an inch from the ground. Bring it back up. Cross over to the other side. Bringing the legs back up. So we're just going to continue to float through. Nice long legs, straight as we can keep them, toes pointing out. Drawing the lower back to the floor. Then lifting the legs up for a final time, we'll bring the hands up as well, and we'll alternate the legs and arms. So right arm, left leg on the exhale. Inhale up, keep that lower back into the ground, the legs as straight as you can. Cross over to the other side. Maintain one leg and one arm to the sky. One leg and arm moving. And last side. And then we'll take the arms out again. This time we flex the feet and try and have them directly above the hips. So quite a lot of work on these hip flexors for us. A little bit of abdominal work as well. If you wish to, you can bring your chin in towards your chest and take your hands along the sides of your legs to lift up. But we don't really hold on. Almost there. Release the head back down. Bring the feet gently to the floor. On the inhale, we'll take that left leg to the sky, turn the toes out, bend the knee. Bring the ankle to the outside of the thigh. So the foot stays flexed for figure 4. That left knee travels forwards as you bring your right leg in towards your body. Left hand goes through the middle and it'll either be able to hold on to the shin or the back of the thigh. And then wrapping the other hand round to meet, to interlace those fingers. Keep the left foot flexed. Let the body sink into the ground a little bit. Try and relax the muscles in the belly, lower back, and the hips and shoulders together. Lots of different ways to work with this, but in the combination of the work we've just done, trying to find a little bit of space whilst we're stretching muscles in a different way. Release from there. Tangle the legs, and yep, there's a right leg to play with, so we'll take that up. Turn the toes out, bend the knee, let it travel forwards a little bit when you feel happy. The left leg comes in, right arm goes through, left arm comes round. Keep that right foot flexed. And again, we try to let the body sink into the floor, so to get that sitting bone close to the ground. Can't see the clock because my knee's in the way. Couple more breaths. And then we can release from there as well. We'll take the leg up to the sky, give a little shake out, bring the foot down, roll the legs over to your right side, use your hands to press into the floor and lift up. Swing the feet towards the back of the mat, move the block out of the way, and just bring ourselves back into force. So nice and easy. We'll take a little breath from there, move into down dog. Walk the hands to the toes, forward fold. Hands onto the hips, soften the knees flat back to lift as we exhale. Then we'll shake it out as we walk up to the front of the mat. Feet land hip distance apart and parallel. Inhale the hands high. Hands into the heart. We're exhaling through Uttanasana to the floor. Taking the right foot back, a big step into lunge. They sort of slide your foot out, get the hips nice and low, and then we'll drop the heel in towards the floor. Now I'm going to bring the left arm onto the thigh, open the chest up to the right, and take the right arm up towards the sky. And I'm going to lift the body a little more away from that thigh, turn the top palm forwards, and then rotate the arm like a windmill, keeping my chest pointing to the side of the mat. So I'm going to inhale up and exhale down, more or less. And try to keep the head in line with the torso, so following that natural line. And pressing the lower forearm now into the thigh a little bit, so I get a little bit of resistance from the leg pressing back. And take the hand high and bring that down to the floor. Bring both hands either side of the front foot. Step into the fold. Bring the hands under the hips, soft knees, and lift. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhale low and slow. And then take the left foot back into that deep lunge. Take a little time to slide the foot out, play with your balance. And then drop the heel in. Right forearm comes in. Open the chest to the left, take the hand high, lift that a little bit. Turn the palm forwards. And then start to windmill again. So you want to keep a little bit of weight planted into the back foot, which is not easy because it gets very light. And in this time of year when it's a bit humid and we're a bit sweaty, our feet tend to slide quite easily. So that back foot can move around a little bit. So you have to think about pressing down a little more and engaging the inner thigh. And I'm going to bring the hands to the floor again. Either side, we'll step forwards into our fold, hands under the hips, and let ourselves lift. Inhale high, hands into the heart, folding forwards. Stepping the right foot back this time into a big step. I'm going to keep the heel pointed towards the sky. Plant the right hand on the floor. Take a twist with the left hand towards the sky. Draw the knee in towards the center line on the front leg. Rotate round. Pressing out through the back heel. And come to the floor. Now we lift up onto the fingertips. Bring the hands alongside the body. Lift the chest a little further. Float the arms forwards in line with the torso. And then turn tailbone down to lift the body up into high crescent. As you arrive, I'm going to drop the back knee down to the floor. A little touch. A lift. A touch. And a lift. touch, and the lift, and a final touch, and the lift. Hands come to the ground and we step into the forward fold. Hands come onto the hips, soft knees, and we lift up. Inhale high, hands into the heart. Exhaling over. And taking the left foot back this time. Nice big lunge. Left hand down, right arm lifts into the twist. Again, squeeze the knee in a little. Make sure the back thigh, back leg is pressing out through the heel. You want to be able to feel that belly drawing in a little bit. So the power feels like it's coming from the middle of your body. I'll bring the hand down to the floor, onto the fingertips. Hands alongside the body, lift the chest. Draw the hands out. Draw the tailbone down. And then exhale, little tap, knee to the floor. Try to come down and up as best you can so you travel little into the front knee. And come down for the last time. Lifting up, hands come to the floor, and we step into the forward fold. Hands come to the hips, and we lift up again. Inhale high, hands into the heart. Exhaling down, keep the belly drawn in, thighs lifting, right foot back. Take a little breath. The left hand for the twist. And bringing the hand down, we'll step back into down dog. Draw the right knee into the chest. Bring the foot through to the outside of the head. Turn the foot out slightly. Back knee down to the floor. Let the right knee hang out to the side so we come onto the side of the foot. Going to slowly take that right arm forwards and up, twisting. Going to draw the left heel in towards the body. Find the toes. Ease the heel in towards your bottom if you're able to find your foot. And we'll release. Bring the hands down. Take a little breath. Step back into our down dog. Walk the hands to the toes. Hands onto the hips, soft knees and a flat back to lift. Shake it all out as we walk up to the front of the mat. Inhale high. Into the heart, exhaling down to the floor. This time the left foot goes back. We take the twist again. And it comes to the ground, we step back into our down dog. And we draw the left foot, outside left hand, back knee to the floor. That left hand comes up, we twist, we roll the knee out, and then we bend the back leg. Whoop. Little cheek to move myself around. We call that adaptation. Maybe I've got a longer leg on that side. Now we're going to press down into the bottom arm and keep the shoulder away from the ear rather than collapsing down into it. You want to be nice and high. It actually makes it easier to breathe and it feels more comfortable generally in the body. Last little squeeze. Release. Hands to the floor. Back into our down dog. Into our forward fold. Oops, foot sliding around. And then hands onto the hips. Soft knees and a flat back to lift. And we can shake it all out again. Whew, coming up to the front of the mat. Now we're going to take a little breath from here, take hands high. Leave them palms facing in, the lich, above the shoulders. Draw the belly in, soften the knees over the toes. Let yourself sit down into a chair. Remember, it's an invisible chair. It's not really there. Keep the belly drawn in. We've got 2 more breaths, just letting the weight come out of the toes. And then we'll fold down to the floor. Take a little breath from there. Allow ourselves to take the right foot to the back of the mat. We'll drop the heel in. Bring the hands alongside the body. And then we'll take the right arm forwards to lift up into warrior 2. Take a breath from there and extend out over the front thigh. Bring the forearm down. Take the top arm up towards the sky, palm forwards, and extend out so the arm gets very close to the ear. Roll your chest to the sky. Back foot pressing down. We'll come back into warrior 2. Turn the palm on the front hand once the hips feel stable. Into reverse warrior. Straightening the front leg slowly. You get a little bit more side bendy towards the back of the mat. Come back into our warrior 2. And this time we straighten the front leg and move gently over into triangle pose. Top arm towards the sky. Now let's rock the top arm towards the front of the mat. Take 1 breath and then rotate the chest down to the floor as you soften your front knee. Bring your hands either side of the foot. And then walk your fingers around to the long side, turning the toes in. You want to have a nice long flat back, so you can walk the feet out a little further if it feels comfortable. Press the feet down, squeeze the thighs in a little bit, send the tailbone back, draw the belly in. And then having the hands about shoulder distance apart, we start to hinge from the hips, keeping the spine long, and the head comes down last rather than first. Makes so much difference to how your spine feels moving into this, and ultimately how deep you can move into it before you start to trigger hamstrings and lower back muscles. We're actually trying to lift the hips up, press the feet down. And there's virtually no weight in the hands. I'm trying to draw the shoulders wide away from my ears so that the blood flow stays nice and regular through to the old off-in head. Last breath here. We'll float back up on the breath in. Walk our fingers to the front of the mat and step into our forward fold. Hands can come onto the hips, soft knees and a flat back to lift. Inhale those hands high above the shoulders, palms facing in. And we sink into the chair pose again. So we're just waiting to get that point where the weight starts to feel like it's lifting out of the toes. Get your spine nice and long. One more breath. Fold to the floor. Take the left foot back into lunge. Bring the heel in, warrior 2, so hands come alongside, pressing down into the back foot, left arm lengthens forwards and we cartwheel ourselves up. And as we arrive, we extend out into the side angle, the forearm to the thigh, top arm lifts, extend the palm forwards, the ear and the arm get close, we rotate the chest round. Keep that bottom thigh working, pressing down. You should be able to feel your buttock on the left side starting to contract a little bit. That's how you know your leg is working. Come back into warrior two. Turn the palm for the front hand, reverse warrior. Get a nice relaxed position. Slowly straighten the front leg. Give the body a chance to absorb the changing balance. And then we'll come back into warrior two. Straightening the front leg. We're into triangle pose, so we lengthen out again. And to the shin. Top man to the sky, eyes to the side, chest opens up, round. Few breaths here, just to really let that leg open out. There's very little weight of the hand on that front shin. Really the torso is lifting itself up out of the hips. Sending the hips back a little bit. And we'll come into warrior two. Bring the hands high, down to the floor. Walk the fingers around to the long side of the mat. You can turn the toes out nice and wide. And this time we're going to allow ourselves to walk the fingers forward. So take hands, I would say about 1.5 times what you think your shoulders are in width. That's usually about enough. And then walking out, we're going to get a nice straight line between the fingertips, the shoulders, and the hips. And we can lift the hips up high, press the feet down. My legs feel like they're doing a lot of work. Try to not have all the weight into the toes. You might need to just move your bottom back a little bit. Playing around with the balance there. Fingers back in. And then around to the front of the mat. Take a little breath from here. As we get into that forward fold, on for a moment. And then bring your hands onto the hips, soften the knees, and let ourselves lift up. Inhale to the sky. We're going to come to the floor and step back into a down dog. And into a plank. Knees to the floor. We'll spin the feet out to the side and allow ourselves to take Dandasana. So feet come together. Pay particular attention to big toe, little toe distance from the body being equal. Feet are flexed back. We can roll out the flesh a little bit. Press the sitting bones down nice and wide through the shoulders. Fingers, hips on the floor. And letting the crown of the head lift a little bit. So we get a little bit of time to get our breath back. Get our heart a little bit more under control and let some of the heat out of the body that we've just built up. Pardon me. Pick up on a burp altogether, just what you need in a yoga class. And now I'm going to cross my ankles, draw the feet in towards my body, roll onto the knees, and I'm going to simply take a child's pose. So allow yourself to settle in. Knee and bottoms connect, hands stay out, front arms onto fingertips, elbows away from the ground. And then we come back up onto all fours. Tuck the toes underneath, moving into down dog. Down dog will move into plank, keeping the hips as high as the shoulders, belly drawn in. We'll move back into down dog. Come forwards into plank, and then move back again. So the thing we want to do is avoid dropping the hips. But as you come forwards into your plank, you want to keep your hips the height of your shoulders, but you turn the tailbone down a little bit, and you feel your abdominals contract just a fraction. So it's a slow movement. We come in, there's a little contraction. We acknowledge it by moving back into down dog. We come forwards, little contraction, and back. Squeaky sound effects coming in this evening. Coming forwards, little press through the heels as well. Keep the legs strong. We come forwards one more time. Little contract, and then we're back. Whew, that's good. Then we'll bring the toes onto the center line in our down dog. Draw the right knee in towards the chest as we hold down dog, and then we'll move to plank, taking the right knee to the right tricep. Moving back into down dog, we'll change over feet, left to left, and back, right to right, and back, left to left, and back. Hopefully you can still see the feel, that little squeeze, the abdominals. As you do this, the left leg comes in, and back one more time to each side. And then plank to all fours. Taking the right arm up, we're going to open it out to the side, and then thread the needle underneath, shoulder and ear to the floor. Now we need to keep that left hand pressing into the ground, elbow to the sky, and try and roll the shoulder back a little bit. Press a little into the shins, keep the hips over the center line. Somehow remember to breathe. And then we press into the floor to lift back up. We've got the final side to lift. And fold under and round. Ooh. Rotate as much as we can. Have to be a little easy on this side for myself, otherwise I end up jamming the headpiece into my ear, never to be seen again, which I'm sure would diminish your enjoyment of the class enormously. Last press of the floor, exhale, come back up, and then we'll swing the feet out to the side. Whew. And we're onto bottoms again. Now we're going to take the block, knees are high, and we're going to have a couple of moments of more moving towards restorative work. So hands behind just to give a little support. And then when the head is on the floor, going to lift the bum and take the block and just place that underneath so that it's resting on your pelvis and not actually onto your spine. So have a little play to make sure it's on the heads of the pelvis and the sacrum, and not into the lumbar spine. Okay, so we're only lifted a little off the floor. We're going to let the hands come out to the side, palms up towards the sky, and relax the shoulders. And then we're going to slide the feet together to the center line, knees high. Lengthen the right leg out. Lengthen the left leg out. And then slide the feet apart until it feels a comfortable distance and can let the legs roll open. And we're simply going to be here for about 2 minutes, letting the hip flexors stretch out. So it's the muscles that attach directly to this front portion of your pelvis down into the groin that we want to lengthen out. Now we could do that lying on the floor and doing lots of leg stretchy work and lower back work, but we've done enough this evening. We want to kind of recruit our body a little bit, treat it with some kindness. We've done all the strength and balance work that it needed. We've got the core fired up and working. We've got a little bit of heat in the body. So this is the cream on top of the jam of our big scone. And you could ultimately take that higher, maybe using a brick, and you could take it even higher than that using a brick and a block. But it's important that when we think about being restorative, that we are doing it with a good deal of ease in the body. And sometimes our sort of competitive mind takes us into, well, if I can't feel it, it can't be doing me any good. It actually might be doing the world a good and be exactly what you need. The rest of the class was tough. This is the polar opposite, and it's meant to be. So allow yourself to enjoy and relax all the muscles in your lower back, in your shoulders, your jaw, across your chest and your abdomen, through your pelvis, hips, and down your legs to your toes. Slowly bring one heel sliding along the ground towards us at a time. Make sure that feels happy in the spine. Have any tenderness, you just want to be staying here for a moment. Otherwise, you're going to start to draw the tummy muscles in again. And as you exhale, press into the feet very lightly to start to lift the hips up enough, just that fraction, to slide the block out. And then take about 3 of your breaths to slowly lower down towards the floor. It's only 1 inch and a bit, so it's a very small rolling back down. And trying to let the spine touch and make contact with the ground as much as it can. If you were staying on the block, just waiting for things to settle down, you should be able to lift and then gently bring yourself down. And you can slowly let the buttocks sort of release. Feel the shape of your spine changing underneath you. Now we'll just take the feet out wide and let the knees rock in to the center so they stay high. And then if you wish to, slowly use your toes to walk your feet further forwards, corner edges of the mat, slide the heels out, that final familiar Shavasana shape. You can keep the knees high, whatever feels comfortable. And then we begin to wriggle the toes and the fingers. Begin to breathe a little deeper as we move the wrists and the ankles. Allow ourselves to enjoy a big stretch, whatever that looks like. And then slide the heels along the floor again for the final time to bring the feeling towards your body. And ease yourself into a gentle hug or some hip circles, whatever feels good. Let yourself follow your instincts. And then when we're ready, we'll roll onto our right side. Exhaling on the way down. Take a breath here. And then use a final exhale to lift up slowly from the floor. And bring ourselves back into seated position. Sitting up nice and tall. Couple of breaths. Just letting the body kind of decompress, find its center. And then bring the hands in towards your heart as you close your eyes, taking a deeper breath. Chin to chest. As you begin to exhale, let the belly draw to the spine. Seal your practice with your bow. On the inhale, lifting up. Open the eyes. Namaste. Have a lovely weekend. I will see you again soon on the mat.